My name is Alex. I am joined today by Colin. We are going to be talking today in our Meetup Live about how to host, how to set up, and how to support really great events through your Meetup groups. Like I said, my name is Alex. I'm a senior customer support lead with our customer support team. I've been with Meetup for about 5 years, and I've been hosting these Meetup Live events, trying to answer your questions about how best to support your groups and your communities. And with me is Colin.
Hi, I'm Colin, manager of customer support here at Meetup. I've been working here for almost 6 years. It's been great, and I am a Meetup organizer. I host a virtual yoga for beginners group, and yeah, I'm looking forward to showing you all, demoing the event scheduler and some updates we've added. Yeah, take it away, Alex. Thanks.
All right. We like to start these events by going through our usual guidelines for these Meetup Live events. First of all, this video will be recorded. You do not appear in the video, and the recording of the video will be posted to our blog soon. We'll be sharing links to our blog. Your audio is courtesy muted, so the only people you will be seeing or hearing during this presentation will be Colin and myself, and you'll be seeing the slides from our deck. If you have questions, feel free to submit those questions in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. We make time at the end of these presentations to answer those questions, and we also have some support specialists on the line answering those questions by message. Last but not least, closed captioning is available. If you'd like to turn that on, just click the live transcription icon at the bottom of your screen and select your preference. Like I said, today we're going to be talking about hosting successful events. Once we get done with this introduction, we'll dive into the meat and potatoes of that conversation. We'll take a look at the actual event scheduler and all of the features that are currently available for it. Like I said, we'll also make time at the end of the day for our question and answer session. And last but not least, we'd like to share some resources and links with everybody so that you have access to our community support team and to all of the various resources that we provide to help you run your groups. Today, we're going to be talking about decisions that you might need to make before you even open your event scheduler and start publishing your event. We'll guide you through how to navigate and how to completely fill out the event scheduler so that you can publish your event with all of those details really complete. We'll talk about when it's best to communicate with your members and what communication tools exist to help you do that. And on that line, we'll talk about which features best suit your needs at various points during the event hosting process. We'll also give you a little sneak peek of some upcoming features along with our question and answer session. So without further ado, we're going to dive right in. We're going to talk about how you start to plan your next event. There are a few things you probably want to decide before you really commit to going to your group, opening up the event scheduler and really starting to fill things out. A common concern that I hear from organizers is that when you do start to write out what your event is going to be, there's a lot of blank spaces. So making some decisions beforehand makes the actual filling out of the scheduler a lot easier. The first and foremost thing to think about is what your theme or activity for the event is going to be. A lot of this is going to be determined by the focus of the group itself. A lot of people will create groups around a central theme, a shared interest. If you've got a knitting group, all right, well, are you hosting a knitting event or are you hosting more of a social event? I think focusing on the theme or activity for your event is particularly important for socializing groups, which we have a lot of, and that can be a very broad topic. So deciding like, okay, are we going to do a pub night or are we going to do a poker night or anything like that? So if you're really stumped and you're starting from scratch, you haven't hosted a single event before, Meetup offers a meet and greet template, and we'll show you where to find that in the event scheduler. The nice thing about that template is that it automatically will fill out some of those fields, including the title, your event description, your cover photo, and those can be real blockers for people if you're not used to filling out that information on the event scheduler. If you have hosted events in the past and you had one that went particularly well, you don't have to start from scratch. You can actually just copy that previous event, just select a new date and time, and the rest of it will be automatically populated. And we can show you where to find that too. Another key part of this is where you are going to meet. since the pandemic, we support online events as well as in-person events. So that's probably the first thing you want to decide is, do you want to host a remote event, or do you want to actually get together with people in person? We recently, I think last month, hosted another one of these Meetup Live events, and we focused specifically on finding the right venue. We had some organizers present who gave us their insights and their experiences into actually finding those venues and coordinating with the people who own those venues in order to support their events. So if you're interested, I'd recommend checking out the other Meetup Live events that we've recorded and are available on our blog. Another thing to keep in mind is how many attendees you plan to host. I think a common assumption for new organizers is to have like the biggest group possible with the biggest events possible, but that's not always going to give you the best experience. And sometimes focusing on the exact number of people that you really can reasonably host, whether that's going to be 20, if it's 15, or even if it's just 5 people, you can set those limits in the event scheduler itself, and that's going to help you host a really specific and a really targeted event that's going to be really impactful and meaningful for the people who do attend. And last but not least, we can talk about whether you should charge an event fee. We know that the organizer subscription costs, and our organizers have plenty of monetization features built into Meetup that can help you offset those costs. We've hosted a lot of Meetup Live events recently about member dues, about event fees, and about our new fundraising feature, which at this time is only available for organizers in the US, but that's sort of an optional donation fundraising option through another company called Pledge. So again, those are topics that we've hosted events on. The recordings are available in the blog. So both for venue and for monetization, if you'd like to learn more about those and how to make those decisions for your group, definitely recommend checking those out. Here's what the meet and greet template looks like. Oh, I'm sorry, Colin, did you want to?
I just wanted to add something to the last slide. Like, if you're stumped about what you should do, I've found that it's helpful to kind of like look at what other people are doing. Not that you have to copy them, but look, like either attend an event, look at what the platform has, and see like what's working. So when I first started, like I'm just like not really sure like what what type of events to do, and just by like kind of exploring the site and seeing what's already happening gives me some like good kind of like helps me kind of to brainstorm of what I should do. In addition to that, like once you decide on something, or if you have an idea, just like I encourage you to just try it. Like try to have the courage and confidence to do it. I know it's a little intimidating and can be scary to try something you're not sure, but that's like kind of how you learn and how what's working and what's not. So I just wanted to throw those little tips in there around these like ideating on what events you're going to do.
I'll echo what you said about taking what works from other groups. In my experience, a lot of those decisions, especially around like codes of conduct, attendance rules, that sort of thing. I've seen a lot of really successful organizers. They just see what's working in other groups, and they'll even just copy the language from the groups or from the events themselves and see how it applies to their group. If you're
and you can make it your own.
Another group's toes, you can always try communicating with that organizer and getting the permission, or you can just tailor the language slightly to suit what your community needs. But I think, seeing what works for other people is a really great strategy. There's something else you want to say, Colin?
Nope, that's it. I just thought of that. Wanted to share those little tips.
Cool. So I mentioned the meet and greet template, and we can get into this a little more once we're actually going through the event scheduler itself. But I wanted to give everybody a sense about what that's going to look like and how it starts to fill in some of those fields. You can see the title, the date and time, and the featured photo get automatically filled out. So you get to select a basic structure for an event, so you don't have to come up with all the ideas yourself. Great. Okay, so we've made some decisions about what kind of event we want to host. Let's talk about actually creating the event itself. This is probably the single most important feature in all of Meetup. It's the event scheduler. That's why you've created your group, and this is how you're going to actually make the connections with people. It's by creating and hosting your events. It's available on both the desktop and on the Meetup app. The QR code that you see on the screen now, if you have your phone handy, you can scan that code. I think we'll have the QR code available a few different times. And I believe Emily will also be posting a direct link in the chat so that you can directly go to where it's going to take you. But if you haven't downloaded the Meetup for Organizers app yet, we have a specific app that's just for organizers, and it's designed to make the creation and the managing of your events even easier. We've gotten questions about why we would need both the desktop version and the app. And as we take you through the process today, I'm going to try to point out a few places where it might make sense to switch between them. It's not necessary. If you prefer one to the other, you can definitely make it work. But using both at different points can get you different benefits throughout the creation process as you're creating your event, as you're making sure like all those little details are figured out and communicated to your attendees. So feel free to scan the QR code, download the Meetup for Organizers app for Google or for Apple. And if you'd like to follow along with Colin as he takes us through this next stage where we're going to actually go through the event scheduler, feel free to do so. I think we're going to move on. Great. Cool. So now we go to our live demo. Colin's going to actually show us step by step how we create a event.
Yeah, I'm going to take over screen share and I'm going to show you my screen. Okay. All right. So I'm logged into my Meetup account, and this account is an organizer account. I have these 3 groups. But we're going to create an event in this Get Outside NYC group. So you could click create event right from the homepage, or you could create it from the group homepage. So here it is. It's just like a little group that I want to show you. It's just like a test group. But I have like fundraising enabled. I've had some past events. I have a few members. But from here, when you go to create your event, just click this drop down and you can click create a new event, or you could copy a past event. Alex mentioned earlier, if you have a past event that worked great, it's so much easier to just easily copy all the details and then touch them up to make your next event. We're going to create a new event here. So click create new event, and it brings you to the event scheduler. If you do want to check out the meet and greet template, you can click that in the upper right, and it kind of just it just inputs like some tips, some quick tips that you can have for like a first event. So it automatically generates a title. So it just you can just as like meet and greet. It has the recommended date that it usually is recommended like 1 to 2 weeks out. So you can change it here. And then it also recommends like a duration. It also gives you a featured photo and then a description. So I just wanted to show you this meet and greet template, but I'm gonna go back to the actual scheduler, and we're gonna make one from scratch. So this is an outdoor group based in New York City, and we're gonna take a trip up to Bear Mountain and we're gonna go hiking. So let's just say hiking in Bear Mountain. Cool. So we'll just do like a hiking trip to Bear Mountain. It's like an hour and a half up north from New York City, if anyone's from here. And I'm gonna make sure that we have enough time to get enough members and attendees to come. Usually last minute hiking trips are probably not realistic. So I would say at least like a week, maybe 2 weeks out. So I would feel more comfortable if I can have enough time to figure out all the logistics by June 10th. So that's like a couple weeks. And, Saturday hiking is good. I'm going to say starts around 9 a.m. Maybe we can leave the city at 9. And you can set the duration. Oops. You can set the duration to a certain amount of time. So I'm going to say we can maybe end at 4 p.m. I also have some photos of Bear Mountain that I just grabbed from Google. So this one's pretty, but yeah, let's do this one. And you can like drag it or zoom in, but this looks fine to me. Cool. So it just kind of pops out when you have a photo, and a little more eye-catching for your members when they can kind of get a visual of what is Bear Mountain. So I have a description here that I wrote earlier. And really, the description, you want your description to explain, not over explain, but really explain like the vitals of what this event is. So, what to expect, agenda, what to bring, how to find the group. So I just said, let's take a trip up to Bear Mountain. We'll be carpooling from New York City. So let me know if you need a ride. Any other like really important logistical things that you should add to your event description. I found that agendas are really helpful too. It gives the attendees an idea of exactly what to expect and kind of like, because they want to time their day out as well. So I figured maybe we, leave from New York City around 9 a.m., get there around 10:30, give like enough buffer in between like arriving to start the event, start the hike. I would say the hike is maybe 2 hours, so end by 1, and then another buffer to like go get lunch nearby. So there's a lot of things you can do. And it's just important to kind of spell out everything for the attendee so that they know what to expect. And also like what to bring. What to bring is important, especially for these hiking events, or really any event, because you want your attendees to be prepared. So just, give some tips on like bring hiking shoes, comfy clothes, water bottle, snacks. So you can mark some of these as optional. So just like, this is just a very kind of basic description, but I do encourage you to add as many details as possible, so that your members and attendees can be prepared. This section is it is a pro specific feature. Now, this doesn't exactly apply to my hiking event, but if you have a pro subscription, you're able to add a speaker. So you can add the speaker's profile photo, you can share their social media and a little bio. And when you publish the event, it will show up under the event description saying it could be like a lecture or any sort whatever the event is where the speaker will be at. And it's helpful especially for pro organizers to use this, but we don't have a pro subscription on this account. This is just a hiking group, so we can skip that one. Now, the topics here are also important because they help members locate your events. So if you want to add certain topics that are relevant to your event, you could say things like, hiking with your dog, wilderness hiking. So I'll just add a couple here. Outdoor adventures, socializing. So it'll be social, so whatever you want, whatever makes your event pop more. And then the location. So you could make this isn't an online event, but if it was, you could connect your Zoom account, or you could just copy and paste the online event URL, whether it's Google Meets or Zoom or Google Teams, Microsoft Teams, whatever the event, the URL is, you can just copy and paste it right here. But we're gonna do an in-person venue. So I have this is a recent place that I use for past event, so automatically pops up here. But if you don't see it here, you can just search for the location. But I'm just gonna pick Bear Mountain State Park because that's where we're going. And when you click on this, it actually opens Google Maps. You can make sure that it's the right location, so that's helpful. But also you can edit the map pin, and this would be good for this event because it's for hiking, and you want to make sure that they're coming in the right location. So you can zoom in, and maybe we not sure like what this building is, but I thought maybe like this carousel. It's like there's apparently a carousel in Bear Mountain, so let's meet at the carousel. A good landmark to meet at. And you can put here in the how to find a section, let's meet at, and then call me at whatever if you need help. or like post in event chat. Event chat is a feature, like a real-time messaging feature that you can use. And I think it's especially helpful for if someone gets lost, like directing them where to go. So yeah, just the how to find us is important. We also have this COVID-19 safety measures. This is optional. You can say what the venue type is. So it's outdoor. You can say if the mask or if the vaccine is required. And then you can add or change the host. I'm gonna stay the host of this, but I'm also gonna add Alex as a co-host because he's coming with me to Bear Mountain, and he's a co-organizer. You can also search for other Alex, and she's just a member, but you can make members hosts of the event as well. Cool. All right, we're moving along. Now we have our communication tools. This is a recent thing we added. This was feedback we heard from you. You want the organizers wanted the ability to choose what type of tool you communicate with your attendees with or on. We have chat and we have comments. You can choose to have both of them on or one of them on. You have to have at least one on. So I'm going to turn both on because I think both are nice in their own way. But you can choose one or the other if you want. Now note that once you save this event or publish it, you can't change this setting. So once you choose, you won't be able to go back and change it, but just a heads up on that. Now we have all these optional settings. A bunch of them, some of them I might not use for this event, but that's okay because that's the point of these features is some works for some events and groups, some don't for others. Really depends on what works for you. So the first one is repeat event. If I want to host a weekly Bear Mountain hiking trip, I could do that. You could change it to every week, every 2 weeks, every month. So I'll say I'm not going to actually save this because I don't know if I want to do it every week, but maybe I could do it every month. So you could say like every month, and it will repeat on this date until a certain date. You could choose that. Or if you do every week, then you can say which days of the week you're doing it. So every Saturday and Sunday we're going hiking. And then you can set an end date as well. I'm going to turn this off for now because just a one-time event for this hiking trip is fine. You can also ask members a question. This is helpful because when you go to the attendee manager, when someone RSVPs, they'll be asked to answer the question, and then their answer will be shown in the attendee manager, and you can see, what they say. So, I've, for my yoga group, I put, "Have you ever done yoga before?" Just so I kind of know like their, their level. But for this one, this is a hiking group. So, for this event, I would say maybe like, do you need a ride? Something like that. So you can kind of gauge, who's carpooling, all those logistics. So yeah, that's just like a question, question you can ask. Attendee limit. So for this event, I don't know if there's an attendee limit. I mean, for me personally, I don't mind as long as we can all get to Bear Mountain, fine. But you could set an attendee limit depending on if maybe you have a venue or you have a restaurant reservation that only can take 10 people. You would want to set an attendee limit so that you don't go over that limit. And once you hit the attendee limit, then members won't be able to RSVP. They'll be put on a wait list. I'm going to turn this off though for now. Allow guests. So you can allow your members to bring guests if you want. You can have them bring up to 5. So I'm going to say, sure, you can bring up to 5 guests. And when they RSVP, they will have the option to add however many guests they're bringing. RSVP start and end time. So you can allow your members to start RSVPing at a certain time and stop RSVPing at a certain time. So for now, like, when do I want my members to start RSVPing? I'll just say now, today is fine. And then I would probably want them to stop RSVPing like 1 or 2 days before, just so that I can make sure that everyone has a ride up, all the logistics are set in stone. So I would say maybe 1 day before at 9 a.m. whatever. Because then like last minute attendees, you don't have to be scrambling like, how are you gonna get there? Or do you need a ride? Or them asking for a ride. That's what I would do. Fundraising is a feature that's only for organizers in the United States right now. So I have this enabled for my group. And when you turn it on in the event scheduler, they will see a prompt on the event page to donate to your group. So I'll just turn this on because why not? It's just an extra area that people will see, where they have the option to contribute to whatever fundraising you want. Some groups have fundraising for, maybe they're raising money for their organizer subscription. Maybe they're raising money for a future event venue they have to rent. Maybe they're raising money for a pizza party, whatever it is. This is just something you can turn on here as well.
To pay for the gas for the unlimited people who are going to come with you to Bear Mountain.
Yeah, right. All the train tickets. Yeah. Okay, and then we have event fee. So event fee is something that you can collect via like direct through cash, or we have PayPal, where if you turn it on for PayPal, then your members will be asked to pay over credit card, debit card, PayPal, or Venmo when they RSVP. So in order to RSVP, they have to pay the event fee. Now, this you do have to set up your account. You have to have a PayPal account, but once that's set up, your members will just be able to pay, and then the funds will go into your account. But for this one, I'm not going to have an event fee. Some organizers do charge like $1, but actually that's a good idea. Like let's just experiment with like charging $1 for people to show up, because what we found is that unfortunately people say they're going to come and then they don't come. So we have heard of some success with organizers charging like $1 to say, hey, like RSVP for $1. And it kind of like subconsciously for members gets them to show up because they actually spent a little bit of money. So you could do that, or you could just say it's free. But when you do charge an event fee direct, you could just put in the amount here. You can input if a refund, if you have an additional refund policy. We have a bunch of currencies here as well. Cool. And then the last one is the registration form, which is also a pro feature. This is something where you can, when the member RSVPs, they will be asked to input their name, their company, any job title. So it's certain like fields that you can choose what they will input. And when they do, it all goes into your pro dashboard. So you could see, like an overview or a list of their name and all the info that they inputted. So anyway, so that's the event scheduler. There's a lot here, a lot of different things that you can do. But let's go ahead and publish this. Oh, you can also preview this or save it as a draft, but we're just going to publish it. All right, so it's published. And now this prompt right here, it immediately allows you to announce the event. You can choose to announce it now or later. When you announce it, this event announcement will be sent via email and push notifications to members in your group. So it's kind of saying like, hey, we're doing this, make sure to RSVP. So let's do it now. If you choose to do it later, you'll see this banner at the top. You can just announce it. But if you don't announce it within, I think, 7 days of the event, our system will automatically send it out. So just a FYI about that. Cool. We also have this share button here. We definitely recommend that you share your event with your your networks, social networks, personal networks, whatever. You can share it on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. You can send an email, and you can also copy the link and share it. You can also share it right here at the bottom here. And if you ever need, and when members RSVP, they can edit their RSVP. This is basically what they see. They can answer the question, and yeah. So and this is what your event looks like. So it tells you need to respond by this date, the actual date, the location, how to find us. This information is visible just to members and when they RSVP. So yeah, I hope that was helpful, but we have a lot more to go over. So I'm going to stop sharing. And
before you stop, Colin,
yeah,
I'd like you to do something. If you
sure.
can, let's go into the organizer tools. Let's go into edit
Sure.
event, and let's take one more look at the event scheduler. Because as you're going through it, there are a couple of things that I thought might be worth pointing out.
Yeah.
First is when you were looking at the start time and you were saying, you know, you might want 2 weeks to prep everything. Something I wanted to call out is if you don't have a lot of events on your group's calendar, 2 weeks is the sweet spot. You want an event within 2 weeks. It really affects search results. When people are looking for upcoming events, you're a lot likelier to see you know, your group show up if you've got an event within the next 2 weeks. It'll be higher up in search results. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. And then if you scroll down to the description, you have this really detailed agenda. So you have these bullet points to let us know, like, by the half hour, where we're going to be and when. And then you had the bullet points for what to bring. One of the things I think is really great about the what to bring is, you know, we were talking about the event fee also as a way to encourage people to turn up. I think the what to bring is a really nice and a subtle way to reinforce show ups, because I think for me, as someone who like attends events, if the more information I have beforehand about what to expect, the likelier I am to go, because the easier it is to like sort of get over the anxiety, the hump of like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. Who's going to be there? What am I going to do? So the more information that you can be succinct but specific about what to expect, it really pays off here in the description. We mentioned a couple of features that are only available for Meetup Pro, like the speaker and the registration. If you're not familiar, Meetup Pro is a different subscription tier. With a standard subscription, you can lead up to 3 groups, and you can host an unlimited number of events. Unlimited number of members can join. With Meetup Pro, you can actually create an unlimited number of groups. It's really useful if you are trying to expand like a network of groups worldwide. You can publish the same event across all groups in your network. It's primarily a feature that's for people who are trying to get that wide scope, and for businesses who are trying to expand their reach. You end up paying, instead of one price to host a certain number of groups, you pay per group. So depending on the number of groups you have with Meetup Pro, the price can expand. Colin selected me as a co-host for this event. The nice thing about selecting hosts, because Colin was showing there's somebody else in the group who could have been a member and they could have been the host as well. This is a really nice way to test if you would like someone to become a co-organizer or a member of your leadership team. And we can talk more about that later too. I just wanted to point out here that, like, if you've hosted a couple of events and you're like, that person always at my events, always got a great attitude, always seems very eager to help, selecting them as an event host gives them no extra access to the group settings, but lets them manage the event. And it's a good way of like testing out whether they're going to be like a good partner in crime for expanding your community. And then the last thing I wanted to call out, we allowed guests on this event. The guests are another nice way to encourage people to turn up. Attendance. If people aren't sure who's going to be there, saying like guests are welcome, people are a little likelier to come if they can like bring their friend. So similar to the meet and greet template, having like a bring a friend event is like a really nice baseline introductory event for any group. Cool. Thank you for letting me scroll through your event descriptions again. And then as I had Colin click edit event in order to reopen the scheduler. Any details you want to change, you can just publish through the edit event scheduler, and they'll be edited that way.
Cool.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna take over sharing my screen here. We'll continue going here through our presentation. So this slide here, it's an overview of everything we just looked at in the event scheduler, your ability to create events, the details that you can input, and then once they're published, the ways you can manage the event. You can view your event details. Colin showed us how we can share an event. We'll take another look at an attendee manager in the next few slides, and how you can edit the event. There's also something, this last bullet point here is a really cool feature where you can check in your attendees as they arrive in real time. It's only available on the organizer app because it's designed for people who are on the go. It doesn't, make as much sense to be checking people in if you have your computer at your event. So you've got your phone, people are turning up, you can tap to select that they've turned up, or if they're a no-show. So we'll take another closer look at some of these features on subsequent slides, but I just wanted to give everybody an overview. And if you had questions about any of these specific features, here's what they're called. Call them out in our Q&A. I did see during Colin's walkthrough, some of our guests today have been raising their hands. If you do have questions, please post them in the Q&A. We will see if we can address your questions either in our Q&A session, or our support specialists will try to address them for you. Cool. So moving right along, I'm going to very briefly just highlight some other things in the event scheduler that Colin showed us. First is the ability to choose at least one communication tool. Event chat is designed to give you like real-time messaging with attendees for a specific event. You can post attachments like pictures. It's designed to help you sort of keep in touch both before, during, and after the event. Comments is more like a discussion board. You can post single messages. You don't always necessarily get immediate notifications about comments. And if you've got questions about notifications, we can definitely talk about that too. So depending on the kind of communications that your group tends to go for, you can select between chat and comments. The difference between chat and comments has come up before, so I just wanted to call out here. Chat is for real-time conversation, and comments is more just like to post an idea and leave it alone. Some other things to think about after you've published your event. Colin showed us that pop-up about announcing your event. And he announced it right away because he wanted to make sure that people knew about it and could start RSVPing. If you select do it later, there is a banner at the very top of the screen with another red button that allows you to announce. And as Colin said, if you don't do anything up until 7 days before the event, at 7 days before, that banner will go away. Meetup will instead send an automated reminder to members of your group, letting them know that the event is on the way. That's the first one goes out 6 days before the event, and then 1 day before the event, anyone who's RSVP'd will get another automated reminder. And then last but not least, Colin also showed us how we can share your event on social media. One of the most useful things about Meetup is that we create these connections for you. We announce your group to interested people in your area so that they can join your group and attend your events. But some people haven't joined Meetup yet, and you might know some of those people. So if you want to expand your network, and if you want to expand your group that you've created on Meetup, sharing your events on your social media networks is a great way to attract people into your group and to expand the size of your community. You can share your event both on desktop or on the Meetup apps. All right, let's say you've got a few events coming up. And there's one in particular that you really either want to call more attention to, or that you know that more planning is going to have to go into, and so you want people to start RSVPing sooner rather than later. You can pin that event to your group homepage so it appears first on your event lists. So someone will go to your group homepage and they'll see that this featured event is here. They'll know that you're trying to call attention to this one, and they're a little likelier to engage with that event, as opposed to one that's happening possibly sooner or at a different point in time. Cool. All right. Moving right along now, we are going to talk about steps you can take while you are you publish the event. Now, what are you supposed to do about planning before the event itself? So one of the really important things that the organizer app offers, as opposed to the desktop, is a more nuanced version of the attendee list. You can see in this picture here that there are these little buttons, these icons below each attendee's name, and they give you like a breakdown of more specific information about who is attending your event. You'll know if they have paid for the event yet, or if they haven't yet. You'll hear if they are a first-time attendee, which is really important information for organizers, because that might mean that as a first-time attendee, someone who isn't quite as familiar with your group, or maybe with Meetup at all, they might need a little bit more encouragement and welcoming to really turn up for your event and really get the most out of it. You can also review answers to the event questions, like the one that Colin posted, do you need a ride? The last bullet point on this slide here is contacting these attendees to ensure they're coming or if they have any questions. And again, I think that's a particularly nice gesture to make with people who are first-time attendees.
Yeah, it also just helps with your personal, like your planning. Like I mentioned the restaurant reservation before, like you want to make sure that these people are actually showing up. So contacting them before is a good reminder and just confirmation.
All right. We've got quite a few communication tools available that can help you stay in touch. Direct messaging is available on the desktop version of the website and the member app, but not the organizer app. Direct messaging is like a really nice one-on-one communication. That's a nice way to welcome those first-time attendees. It's also a nice way to follow up with attendees and just thank them for coming. There's an organizer I know who likes to specifically acknowledge things that attendees said and say, wow, you really contributed something to our event today. And it really helps people feel seen, and it reinforces show-ups. Here's a little bit more information about Event Chat, which I said is sort of a real-time messaging platform. It's designed so that you can communicate with your attendees before, during, and after the events. And as Colin said, it can be really useful when you're actually at the event to keep an eye on Event Chat if somebody can message there, again, in real time and say, I don't know where to find you guys. It's nice to find that in there too. I mentioned at the beginning of our presentation today that preparing a venue is something that we hosted a recent Meetup Live event about. And here are some of the highlights from that. One of which is just reaching out to the venue and making sure that they know you're coming, particularly for like restaurants, maybe like indoor sports places. Make sure that they know you're coming, that they can accommodate the number of people who are going to be turning up. We heard it's nice to ask them if they have any needs too, like if there's like a drink minimum or if they want you to promote their place. Having a kind of partnership can really end up really creating like a much nicer environment for your group. I personally really like to know where I'm going to park before I come to an event. So making sure you've got those details and can communicate them to people, really, really helpful. Colin also showed us these, the COVID safety measures and the how to find us and the map pin. So again, this is like those small details, and they really, really can make a difference in making sure that somebody feels like, okay, I really do know what to expect. I feel safe. I feel welcomed here. I'm that much more likely to turn up for this event. If you aren't meeting in person and you're hosting an online event, we do have a Zoom integration. Colin showed us that in the event scheduler. With Zoom, we highly recommend that you take advantage of the security features. We are aware that some organizers are having the experience where they're hosting their online events and they get Zoom bombed. Someone who wasn't invited has gotten access to the Zoom room and they're able to interrupt it. I know, Colin, you've had experience with this, right?
I have. It's not fun. It's
Um,
very awkward. So I use these security settings in Zoom. You know, I turn off certain things that I don't want someone to just like unmute and talk, or whatever, or type in the chat, like, yeah. So whatever you want, and whatever
Our
works for
help
your
center
group.
has some more information about features available in Zoom and steps you can take to protect your online events. We want to make sure you are aware of those and that you are empowered to take those steps. If you have repeated issues with a particular person, you can always make a report to our trust and safety team. We have a team of specialists who can investigate those reports. It's really important to us that everyone in your community, including you, feels safe and that you can meet on your own terms. During your event, let's see here. Great. We've got this GIF here, this animation here to show you what the event check-in process is like. This is really, really useful at the event itself to mark the various types of attendance. One of the things that's really nice about this is a lot of groups, particularly ones that I've seen be very successful, set sort of expectations about attendance, so that if someone RSVPs a lot and they don't show up, that is grounds for the organizer to remove them. You are empowered as the organizer to control your member list. So marking no-shows becomes a nice way to encourage attendance, because people know that there's a consequence if you don't. You also can see, you can, at the bottom here, there's like this nice like circle that is filling out to let you know, like, out of the complete number of people who RSVP'd, what kind of attendance statistics are you getting? Those statistics can help you, they can inform your next event. They can help you make decisions about how to plan your next event, because maybe people aren't turning up because of where you've selected or the time that you selected. So getting a bit more of that information helps you to make those decisions. Let's see. So we said that there are a few other communication tools on the desktop web or the member app. You can use direct messaging and event comments, which, like I said, are they're one of the options in the event scheduler: event comments or event chat. Event comments, you just kind of like post your message and leave it. Event chat available on the organizer app, and on the member app, it's real-time communication. During your event, you can also upload photos to your event homepage. You can create an album of photos that can show people who are thinking about joining your group, oh, this is what the event actually looks like. This is what people were doing. People really did meet. It just gives a stronger sense about what your community is all about. And last but not least, I wanted to call attention to, like I said, you can select event hosts. You can try out a member to help you co-host an event and see if they work out. And if they do, you can go into your member list and assign them a leadership team role. There's more information about that in our help center. There are different levels of role and responsibility, the highest being co-organizer, where they can basically manage every aspect of your group except for the money. Down to event organizer, where they really only have access to managing the events themselves. Building a leadership team, I think, is a really nice strategy, so that the burden is not entirely on you to make every decision, to manage every single detail. You can share the load, you can share the responsibility, and that allows you to expand your group even more. And then last but not least, we talked about some of the communication tools that are available to help follow up with members. We just wanted to point out through the event homepage, through the organizer tools, that drop-down menu that Colin opened in order to edit the event, you can also click contact attendees, and that way you can create an email list that goes out to every attendee. You can also target subsets of attendees potentially. So if email tends to be a better method of communication for your group, you just want to make sure that you're aware about that contact attendees tool. We recently expanded the capacity of our post-event feedback. Colin, do you want to speak to this a little?
Sure. Looks like the slide isn't loading for some reason, but this slide is about the post-event feedback, where actually, Alex, can you go back and forth? I'm not sure why it's not loading.
Sure. that help?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, thanks. So post-event feedback, this is after the event ends, your attendees will be able to rate or share like a review of the event. So when they do, you can see how many people put 5 stars, 4 stars, 3, 2, or 1, what people liked, and if they put like, I think 3, 2, or 1 stars, it'll ask them what went wrong or what could be improved, and they can select some like constructive feedback options. And then also there's an open text field here to share feedback that they can, and they can write. They'll also ask if they would attend again. So it's all compiled here and broken down by these stars. And you can view that from your past event page. You click past event, and then you go to manage, and then click view feedback. And this is just used to help you learn from your members and attendees to see what, try to improve your event, and just iterate on them. So
Nice.
yeah.
Running short on time. So I want to make sure we make time for the Q&A. Very quickly, let's just call out kind of like the big highlight for our upcoming feature, which is hybrid events. Highly, highly requested for organizers to be able to host events that are both in person and online. So we don't have a specific release date for this feature yet, but we did want to confirm this is in development and we're working actively on it. Anything else you want to add about that, Colin?
No, I believe this will be available to pro organizers.
Okay, cool. And we also are going to be launching a toggle for organizers to decide whether they will allow their members to upload photos. Organizers and pro administrators will be able to decide whether their group members can upload photos to their groups. And this was a requested feature for people who are trying to either protect their groups from people posting pictures they didn't want to see, or just to manage your group's branding if you really want to control what gets uploaded when and how it represents your group. One last opportunity, just wanted to call attention here to the QR code for the Organizer app. If you're interested in that real-time, on-the-go management of your events, the Organizer app is optimized for those kind of things. All right, here we are, the question and answer segment.
Wow, we had a lot to cover.
We did, yeah. And we've gotten a lot of great questions. I think we actually managed to address quite a few of the questions already. For instance, we did get a question about event Zoom bombing. So we definitely addressed that. And we also just had a question about hybrid events. We've addressed that. So Rob asks, if I want to search for other groups, is there a way to search for only online meetups? The answer is yes. There is a filter on the
I will say,
oh, go ahead.
Yes, I would say you're able to search for online events, but if he's looking for specifically online groups, we don't technically distinguish groups by in-person or online. A group can have online or in-person events. So just wanted to call that out or clarify that. I'm not sure if that was his question, but you can definitely search for online events, but we don't have a way to search for just like groups that are only online, because that doesn't really exist necessarily on Meetup right now. Which
leads us into our next question. Cami asks, how do I have my online event promoted all over the country? My Meetup is located in Jacksonville, Florida, but we want online attendees from all over the country. The answer is Meetup is not designed to do that easily. And the reason why is that when Meetup was first created, way back in 2001, the focus was on creating real local communities. So when you create a Meetup group, you select a city and state or a city and country that you are physically residing in. And your new group announcement gets targeted to people within a certain radius. The members get to decide how far they are from the radius that they want to receive that announcement from. So because that structure still applies to groups, that you have to select a physical location where the group is based, there isn't an easy way to promote your online group all over the place. But we did definitely review some features that are nice workarounds for this. Promoting your group on your social media networks will reach a wider target demographic. The Meetup Pro feature for network events, if financially it's within your capacity to create groups with different locations and then publish a network event, then people all over the place are going to see it. Any other thoughts on that line, Colin?
No, you covered that well.
Cool. All right. Seth
This-
asks, members are often confused between messages, discussions, event chats, and direct messages. As an organizer, I find it difficult to know how to figure out group emails. What can people reply to? What can't they reply to? Where do the replies go? When do they go just to me or to the whole group? This is an excellent question.
Good question.
There's some nuances here. I think the best thing I can do, since we are short on time, we do have an article in the Help Center called "What Notifications Should I Be Receiving?" It breaks down by organizer and by member, and it breaks down by desktop, app, or by on-site notification, or by email, excuse me. On-site and desktop would be the same thing. What notifications you're receiving, where you can expect to receive them, and that includes the communication tools.
Yeah.
Is there something you wanted to add there, Colin?
Yeah, I just want to kind of I just want to acknowledge each of these kind of features. So there's messages, discussions, event chats, direct messages, also emails. I will say direct messages is only between you and the person in that private message. So that's DMs. DMs are direct messages. That's like personal messaging back and forth. Event chat is anyone who has RSVP'd yes to the event. They will be put in the event chat group chat. It's an event chat where all the attendees are in there. So only people who are going to the event or who can see those messages. Discussions is like a group, is on the group homepage, and it's public to all your members. So if you post a discussion, that will be public and anyone can see those replies. And then emails, you can send an announcement email to all of your members. And that's also like a group-wide messaging system. So really the only private thing I would say is direct messages. I hope that kind of summarizes them, but there's a lot of different communication tools on Meetup. So that is a good question.
Okay. I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions. I want to call out, so Sonica asked, I started a public group 2 days ago and I don't have any members yet. Do I have to create an event to attract new members? The answer to that question is you don't have to, but it is highly recommended. It increases the likelihood that somebody is going to find your group when they search for it on Meetup. It increases the number of opportunities for our automatic notification system to tell people that your group exists. Since your group started 2 days ago, I do also want to point out our new group announcement system decides based on the amount of interest and the amount of people in your area when the best time to send that announcement is. It's usually within like 3 days, but it sometimes can be as many as 5. Sometimes it's as little as 1. So if you're not seeing anyone join your group yet, it's possible that that announcement hasn't gone out yet. So I would definitely recommend creating the event and announcing it. If you continue to have questions about whether the announcement actually went out as expected, I would recommend contacting our community support team. Because we're at time, that's actually a really nice segue into the resources and links that we promised you. So on the screen here and in our chat, we're going to share these links to various ways to contact our community support team if you have questions that we were not able to address today. First and foremost, like the toggle to decide if you want event chat or event comments, that came out of requests we heard directly from organizers who were using our product feature request form. So if as you are creating your events, you are encountering things about Meetup that don't work the way that you would like them to, or that there's actually a feature that is missing that would really just like make all the difference in your community. We would love to hear your feedback on this feature request form. Our engineers review all of this feedback, and it does inform actual updates that are made to Meetup. If you don't have any suggestions, but you just want to stay up to date on the latest stuff that we are rolling out, our blog features a product updates page, so you can just get the latest news on what is available. If you have questions about how to navigate Meetup, some success questions, our help center is full of plenty of resources. And at the bottom of every single page is a link that says get help. That will open an email ticket to our customer support team. A specialist will follow up with you. They'll be able to work with you on a one-on-one account level and investigate the specific issue that you're reporting. Now, let's say that you are using Meetup and an error message pops up. Something has gone catastrophically wrong. You are unable to publish your event. You're unable to open your messages. Something has gone wrong. This in the bottom corner on the right, the bug report. Using this is the best way to alert us that something has gone wrong. It gets funneled directly to our team that investigates and solves these problems. We can get to work faster. We can solve things faster if you use this form. So we've got the feature request form, we've got our product updates, and we've got the help center links, and we've got the bug report form. Last but not least, I just want to call out a recent resource that we've been building over the last couple of years. This is the organizer community on Discord, and this is a space where we have been assembling organizers from all over the world to share their experiences. It exists on a software platform called Discord, which is an instant messaging platform. If you do not have an account with Discord already, you'll have to create one. But once you do, you can join this server, and there's thousands of organizers who are asking questions, sharing pictures, suggesting strategies for successful events. And we have also a team of organizer mentors. We've got one on call every morning and every afternoon. They're here to answer your questions. They're here to share their tips and strategies for how they build their own groups. It's a really, really valuable resource, and we're really proud of how much it has expanded over the past couple of years. So scan this QR code or click the link that Emily has shared in the chat if you're interested in joining. We'd love to see you become part of that community. That is the end of our presentation for today. That is our playbook for hosting a successful event. Chock full of information today. We want to thank everybody so much for joining us today, and happy community building.
Yes, thank you all for joining. We'll see you next time. Bye.